So we're going to show you how to find keywords for specific products. Super simple to do and great to start tracking. I use two primary tools for this. I used to use Jungle Scout, but it didn't give me the data I needed, so I used AMZ Scout and DataHawk. Both are paid subscriptions. I highly suggest checking them out. AMZ Scout's a crucial tool for finding product and leveraging it and really getting to a place where I can span out and find more products. And DataHawk is how I win at each of those products. So they really do run synonymous, and I'm going to show you how, specifically on keyword searching, how that's done. So I have a series of products pulled up in the outdoor world because I think this category does a really good job. So I'm going to hit the AMZ Scout Pro tab, and it's going to bring up this listing right here. And I'm essentially just going to hit Get Keywords. So I already have it pulled up in tabs, so I'm just going to make it easy for us and jump. So for that specific page, the Active Air Mummy Sleeping Bag with Compression Sack, for that listing, these are all the keywords that they essentially run off of, and I can export this to a CSV. Or for further down, as you saw in the product hunting video on how to find products. But this is essentially what they're trying to rank for. And if I take that information and compare against listings and stuff like that, I can go into DataHawk and just go into the keyword area and actually add those keywords in and get an understanding for how well they work. So I could just paste them in right here, hit save, and I'm ready to go. So these are ones that I've added for other just test videos that I've done just to see the score, the relevancy of the keyword, how many times other products are using it, the average median price for it, the median rating, and the median reviews, and as well as the search volume. So these are all really crucial because it gives you a really good roadmap to understand what that keyword's going to do for you, right? Let me back up just a bit before we get too far down this road. Is you can apply keywords to certain products. So for instance, here's this same pad I'm tracking in DataHawk to see how well this pad actually does. So you see the variations in BSR, the buy box, the average rating, how fast they're getting rates of reviews, quantity on buy box, and the average for that specific product. I'll take and I'll compare this against what I see in AMZ Scout and really get a good idea. But what I'll do is I'll apply keywords to this specific product to see how well it's ranking for those keywords. So again, from AMZ Scout, I exported the CSV, took that CSV, broke it up into a doc, and dropped them into here. And so this is really what they're ranking for, and they're doing quite well. You'll see a lot of number 1, number 2 positions, and then if there's any rate of change over 7 days or anything that has adjusted. So I started tracking this tail end of December for this video to show you essentially how they dropped and brought up their score on this keyword, how they've maintained a number 1 spot consistency, how they're indexing for 11, and there's 19 that I'm not indexing on right now. So it gives me a good idea that they're doing roughly 30 keywords per page, and this is what they're really looking at, and this is the search volume they get, and that's some great detail, right? So let's say we have a new product and we're trying to sort that out. We have DataHawk. We can put in a series of keywords from competitors that we pull from AMZ Scout. Or we can go into the keyword generator for that specific listing if we put the ASIN in and start tracking it. And it'll give us an idea of what other people in the market are actually using, some of the tops. I don't suggest just loading up on these if your product doesn't relate to cell phones or anything like that. But this does give you a good idea as to what your category can bear, and then what you're going to look at, like LED strip lights in the LED light category for tools and home improvement. Under that category or department, it's getting 135,000 views and you're paying $1.30 for it. So this is another breakdown. If you hover over, it gives you last month, annual average, January search volume, competition, and cost per click, right? So you can really understand what you're looking at as you go down this list to see how competitive you are on certain keywords. And let's take this backpack gear for example, because we were just on it. Last month there were 5,400 reviews. The annual average is 81, And so a lot happens in December. So as I adjust my keyword bid strategy towards the tail end of the year, I might want to drop this one in knowing that I'm going to spend a little bit more at the end of the year to capitalize on some sales. But the bulk of this keyword search essentially happens in the tail end of the year. So I can put dollars where they really need to be and really capitalize at the tail end of the year. And so that's just something to really look for. Then you can hit track it, and then when you go into your keywords, it will give you a list of everything you're tracking, right? So let's see what an A plus keyword really does for us. And what's neat is you can track keywords. As I showed earlier, it gave you the number of listings. These are all the products with that listing that are ranking in the top 100. And so we'll take a look at those. You can do a reverse lookup of ranking, a market analysis for the keyword, and the keyword generator. But let's just break this down. There's 11 products that are using this in the top 100. The average selling price is $49.11, 4.25 star rating, 312 reviews. And it doesn't have a total search volume, which is fine because sometimes it will and sometimes it won't. But what's really neat is this market analysis. So this will give you by page and global views. So globally, against everything on there, the average is this, the max is this, and the minimum is this. And so it's really cool to see that those listed out in high, medium, and low. Then you can break it down by page and say everything on page, there's only 111, or sorry, only 11 that were listed, basically break down in the same way. These won't always be the same when you get more products, say in the 100+ range that are showing up, but this is a good example because it's pretty small subset and shows you what they're actually doing. Now you have a price versus position matrix down at the bottom. So the light load towels, those have a price of 6.5, so they're right in the median range. Like they're essentially what's bringing this to where it's at, and position number 8. And so they're really positioning themselves well for that keyword. Again, if we go back, they'll be number 8 in this list. Number 1 is Gear Doctor's self-inflating camp pad. So as we click the market and actually go into it, we'll see that that one essentially is ranking number 1 for all the search volumes and stuff like that. But this ranking matrix will allow you to understand exactly where your product would land in understanding to a price competition ratio. If that all makes sense, essentially you want your product to be as high as it can be for a dollar amount, and you don't want much in competition. You want to be number 1. So essentially this is breaking down by number 1, number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You want to be closer to the bottom and further on this scale, because that means you are killing your ranking, you have a high ticket item, and you're making good margins. If you want to be lower in here, that means you're doing some really good volume, you're understanding the market, and you again are owning that listing. You'll have number 1s all over the place for it. If it's a powerful keyword, you can do something like black oblong sleeping bag for the outdoors in negative 25-degree weather, and that's a keyword that you're like the only one that's doing it. But if it's a generic keyword like what we have here, ultralight self-insulating, that's a pretty solid one. We've bid on it in the past, we've seen the competition, and that's why I wanted to show it here. It's pretty darn high. So that's essentially the market analysis. Gives you an idea of what your understanding is for that keyword and what you're up against. Reverse ranking is essentially the same thing. It's as all products. It's breaking it down to understand what products are ranking for what, where they're changing for that specific keyword are. So if they're going up or down in the ranking of it, and essentially what their rate of reviews are. So as you saw earlier, it was Gear Doctors that own that listing. Now, this is the ASIN that I'm tracking with that listing. This is everything that I'm specifically looking at. I could add Gear Doctor to this, see how it's ranking against this Outdoorsman Lab, this Wellex, and this Climate Pad to see the comparison between all the ones that I'm calling air quote competitors. And then I can start understanding how I achieve that keyword. Now let me explain that. For instance, this Outdoorsman Labs pad has a pretty solid listing and search ranking for that specific keyword. And let's actually click into it to see what the tracking is. So Amazon will give you a better or higher listing based on quite a few things: how many people are coming to your site, sales through volume, reviews being left, search volume for keywords, things like that. And so why I look at this top left box of number of reviews is it gives me the delta between what they get each day. So there's one. I'm guessing this is going to be 2 or 4. 1. So if I can get essentially 6 reviews a day on my product rapidly, and I'm holding a $39.99 to $44.99 price point, and I'm bidding on that keyword, and I have sufficient stock, and I get reviews that are above 4.3, I'll take this listing and outplace these guys on the BSR. That's why it's really neat to have this sort of information, because you're able to understand how you list and how you really work on that listing. I'm going to show you 2 more things. When you're tracking in DataHawk the product with that keyword, you'll be able to see your listing for that specific keyword, not only by category, but by, let me jump into this screen, that keyword, which is this view right here. So again, if we had ultralight insulated, ultralight self-insulating, here we go. These guys are ranking pretty high for it. And this is what we're essentially looking at as far as competition. So what can we do to knock them off the block? Well, we just went over that. 6 reviews a day, over 4.5 stars, and our selling price of $39.99 to $44.99. And we are in a pretty good position to really rock and roll on it. Now, I'm going to go ahead and grab this keyword right here. And you know what? I'll just show you an opportunity here. This is kind of a little trick. It's going to take me a second to set up. So I just plugged that keyword in. You have 2 sponsored for it. And then here's that Wellix and Outdoorsman Lab pad that we were clicking on. Notice that based off the keyword I searched, it drops in the keywords at the tail end here. I showed you this in another video, but I just want to reiterate it. Copy this URL when you're doing your ads. So if you're doing any Facebook ads, use this URL and plug it through, because what this essentially is doing is saying this product is getting hit for these keywords, and it's coming from different sources, which means people are searching for it, which means you're going to own that domain just that much better. This is another tool in your arsenal to rank for that keywords off another campaign that's running off Amazon. Then I would supplement with some paid keywords, as you saw in the advertising side of our course. I would drop this keyword in, put some dollars behind it, and from DataHawk, take that keyword, drop it in here, hit save. We already have it kind of running. We dropped it in a moment ago. It's still populating. But then you can start to get an idea for the search volume and the cost per click. It does take some time, or else I'd show you right now. But then you can work yourself backwards into understanding your bid strategy and budget to see if that's a keyword you really want to go after. And so that's just a under 15-minute review of how to find keywords, how to use keywords, how to leverage them, and how to find out as much information as you can about your competitors and compete against them.